about the poetry business. I will say a poem that I learned also. It was a class, and we had a school auditorium, and we said the chief defect of Henry King. The chief defect of Henry King was eating little bits of string. Alas, he swallowed some which tied itself in ugly knots inside. Physicians of the utmost fame were called to him, and when they came, they answered as they took their fees, "There is no cure for this disease. Henry will soon be dead." His parents stood about his bed, lamenting his untimely death, when Henry with his last breath said, "Oh, my friends, be warned by me that breakfast, dinner, lunch, and tea are all the human frame requires. With that the wretched child expires." Now, wasn't that fun to say when you were in 4th grade? Strictly germ-proof.
This is my favorite.
The hygienic baby and the prophylactic pup were playing in the garden when a bunny gambled up. They looked upon the creature with a loathing undisguised. He wasn't disinfected and he wasn't sterilized. They said he was a microbe in a hotbed of disease. They bathed him in a vapor of 1,000-odd degrees. They froze him in a freezer that was cold as banished hope, and washed him with prenangate and carbonated soap. In sulphureted hydrogen they seeped his wiggly ears, and they trimmed his frisky whiskers with a pair of hard-boiled shears. Now there's not a micrococcus in the garden where they play. They bathe in pure iodoform 12 times a day, and each imbibes his ration from a hygienic cup, the baby and the bunny and the prophylactic cup. I like the fall, the mist and all. I like the night owl's lonely call, and bare dead boughs against my pain. I like the rain. I like to sit and laugh at it and tend my cozy fire bit. I like the fall, the mist and all. I have loved England dearly and deeply since the first morning, shining and pure, the white cliffs of Dover I saw rising steeply out of the sea, which once made her secure. I had no thought then of husband or lover. I was a traveler, the guest of a week. Yet when they pointed the right cliffs of Dover, startled, I found there were tears on my cheek. I have loved England, though still as a stranger. Here is my home, and I still am alone. Now in her hour of trial and of danger, only the English are really her own. We went down to Devon in the warm summer rain, knowing that our happiness might never come again. I not forgetting until death do us part, was outrageously happy with death in my heart. Love is in wartime. Love is in peacetime, have 50 years to live, have time to tease and quarrel, and question what to give. But lovers in wartime better understand the fullness of living with death close at hand. John had one of those English faces that always will and always will be found in the cream of English places. A blonde, bowed face with prominent eyes, a little bit bluer than English skies. I shall be the gladdest thing under the sun. I shall touch 100 flowers and not pick one. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes, watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. And when the lights begin to show from the town, I will mark with what's be mine and then start down. He reminded me, that was my favorite. Starkle, starkle, little twink.
Right.
Who the hell you are, I think. I'm none of the affluence of Inkahole, those some think of people I are. I fool so foolish, I don't know who is me. The drunker I sit here, the longer I be. Remember that one? Yeah. I never saw a purple cow. I never hoped to see one, but this I will say anyhow. I'd rather see than be one. Oh, we have to do Jabberwocky. I used to say that to Jonathan every night when I put him to bed.
She used to do it like a story. She would say this poem to him when he was a baby.
'Twas brillig and the slithy toes, and gyre and gimble in the wave, all mimsy where the bird grows, and the mole's wrath outbrave. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the claws that snatch, the jaws that bite. Beware the Jew bird in front. Shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the maxim foe he sought. And rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while and thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the turkey woods and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through his vorpal sword went snicker-snack, and with that he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come into my arms, my beamish boy, O frugious day, calloo, callay, courtelinous joy. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wave, all mimsy with a bird rose and a moment's wrath how great. A girl once went to the fair to hire herself out as a servant. An elderly gentleman engaged her and took her to his home, and when he got there he told her he had something to teach her. What would you call me, he said, pointed to himself. Mister or man or whatever you please, sir. No, you must call me master of all masters. And what would you call this, he said, pointing to his bed. Bed or cot or whatever you please, sir. No, this is my barnacle. And what would you call this, he said, pointing to his clothes. Suit or clothes or whatever you please, sir. No, these are my squibs and crackers. And what would you call her, he said, pointing to the cat. Cat or kit or whatever you please, sir. No, Whiteface 70 is her name. And what would you call that, he said, pointing to the fire. Fire or flame or whatever you please, sir. No, you must call that hot cockalorum. And what would you call that, he said, pointing to the water. Water or wet or whatever you please, sir. No, you must call that pondalorum. And what would you call this, he said, pointing to the house. House or hut or whatever you please, sir. No, this is high top of mountain. And what would you call this, he said, pointing to, do we do the clothes, which are the squibs and crackers?
No.
Okay, so that night, the girl woke her master up in a fright and said, Master of all masters, get out of your barnacle and put on your squibs and crackers, for Whiteface 70 has a spark of hot cockalorum on her tail, and you should get some pondalorum. High top of mountain will be on hot cockalorum. It's fine to see the old world and travel up and down among the famous palaces and cities of renown, to admire the crumbly castles and the statues of the kings. But now I think I've had enough of antiquated things. Though it's home again, America for me. I want a ship that's westward bound to plow the rolling sea, to the land of youth and freedom beyond the ocean bars, where the air is full of sunlight and the flag is full of stars. Oh, London is a man's town with power in the air, and Paris is a woman's town with flowers in her hair. And it's sweet to dream in Venice, and it's great to study Rome, but when it comes to living, there's no place like home. I like the German fir woods and green battalions drilled. I like the gardens of Versailles with flashing fountains filled. But oh, to take your hand, my dear, and ramble for a day in the friendly western woodland where nature has a way. I know that Europe's wonderful, yet something seems to lack. The past is too much with her, the people looking back. But the glory of the present is to make the future free. We love our land for what she is, and what she is to be. So it's home again, and home again, America for me. I want a ship that's westward bound to sail the waiting sea, to the blessed land of room enough beyond the ocean bars, where the air is full of sunlight and the flag is full of stars. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high, o'er fields and hills, and all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they did out the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lay, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Anyway, I have to say Evangeline because I love the poem. This is the forest primeval, the murmuring pines and the hemlock, bearded with moss and in garments green, indistinct in the twilight, stand like droogs of elves with voices sad and prophetic, stand with like harpers hoar, with beards that rest on their bosom. Loud from its rocky cavern the deep-voiced neighboring ocean speaks, and in access disconsolate answers the wail of the forest. This is the forest primeval, but where are the hearts that beneath it leaped like the roe when they heard in the woodland the voice of the huntsman? Where is the thatched roof village, the home of Acadian farmers, men whose lives glided on as the rivers that water the woodlands, darkened by shadows of earth, yet reflecting an image of heaven? Waste are those forest lands, and the farmers forever departed, scattered like dust and leaves when the mighty blast of October seized them and whirled them aloft and sprinkled them far o'er the ocean. Northward tradition remains of the beautiful village of Grand Prairie. Ye who believe in affection that hopes and endures and is patient, Ye who believe in the beauty and faith of a woman's devotion, list to the mournful tradition still sung by the pines of the forest. List to the tale of love in Arcadia, home of the happy. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet-smelling breast, a tree that looks like God all day and lifts its sleepy arms to pray, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.